Welcome back to Dial Twang. I'm Dave. So tell me if this ever happens to you. You're riding in the car, you hear a song, or I don't know, you hear it at Home Depot or something, or whatever, and you're like, oh yeah, and you kind of get into it. Well, it's a song you've heard 1,000 times before, maybe even, but you're like, it sounds a little bit different. Maybe it's because your study of music and guitar and things that makes you a different kind of listener, right? So I'm driving in my car, and of course, the Spotify's got me pegged. The kids tease me because one of the channels they found on there is called Dad Rock or something, it's 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 pretty much accurate, you know. Um, Sometimes I get tired of the algorithm or whatever that Spotify's doing because it's like, come on, man, play me some different stuff. This is kind of just the same. Just got some software update thing on my screen. Getting rid of that. So anyway, this song comes up, and I guess because I click on a lot of albums, I love Journey, so they pop up all the time. And this B-side album cut called Walks Like a Lady or something like that. I remember it from like junior high, barely. I've never played it or anything. It's just one of those songs that was on one of those big epic albums, but wasn't one of the big songs, right? Um, but so I get home, and this is what I'm wondering if you ever do. It I didn't even research it. I didn't look it up. I didn't watch a video. I didn't even listen to it again. I just picked up my guitar, and it was so on my brain. I just played the chords that I thought it sounded like the main groove of it. Here's what it came up with. Now it's not going to sound like the song, but it also ended up this track sounds like a bunch of like Phil Collins, Eric Clapton 80s songs or something, right? This is just a kind of a common riff, I guess. It's happy though. I like it, and it's got that some kind of wonderful it's got that Motown kind of feel. Turn that off for a second. And honestly, I thought that's what they were doing. I thought they were covering like an old Motown song or something. I was talking to a student about this yesterday, and we did look it up, the credits of it, and it was Steve Perry. And I was like, wow, that's kind of cool. It sounds more like a Rod Stewart groove from the 80s or something than a 70s Journey song. I guess it got caught up in that disco. There was some weird stuff that sometimes came out great and sometimes was just weird in the late 70s, right? So anyway, that's where this all comes from. But what really spoke to me and what I thought what would make a good lesson is the guitar riffs that he was playing on that Journey recording were the amount of space between the riffs was just outrageous. I mean, like he would just play a little bluesy lick and then just wait for like the entire groove to play another one. And it was really profound. And it was like, man, this was an extreme example. When I play it, it comes out more like kind of a Clapton-ish version of it, where there's a little more, a softer and flowing. And of course, he's just stinging, the licks or whatever, if you listen to the song. But here's what I mean, and here's what I think we can really benefit from some inspiration from this. The chords are C, A minor, B flat. That's more of that Clapton thing. So what if I really separate it? Turn that off. So there at the end, that was like a more of a Clapton type lick that you would play at the end, right? So that's just me, right? But the thing that we can all, I think, kind of embrace here is that separation, playing a lick, a burst of notes, and then not playing. And I know that sounds, so like, oh, I've heard all this before about the phrasing and, breaking into it. But we've got to find ways to really accomplish that, right? One of the things that comes up all week long during lessons and with myself, I see myself doing it. I record myself. I make videos all the time. I see myself doing it. The phrase, it's like I'm just playing different notes, but I'm using that phrasing over and over. And sometimes that's really cool if it's used well as a motif, and it gives the solo, a form and a conversational, dimension that's really nice and musical. But sometimes it just sounds like rambling, right? So when you use a method like what we do on the twang, where we're really open to just kind of letting things happen and, you know, uh, you know, kind of, you know, easing up on that control over everything, right? A lot of the concepts that I'm talking about often. At the same time, we do need to, practice restraint, right? And one of the ways we can do that is to use these kind of bluesy licks and really isolate them. So, a couple of position ideas. We want to use things that we're, probably somewhat comfortable or familiar with, at least most of us. There's a little major pentatonic for C's. Remember, our chords are. Basically, I treat this progression as C. I don't try to go and throw in an A minor, a triad and then a B flat thing and stuff. I just play it as like C pentatonic, using some major and some minor. So for the major, now there I go again. See, I played more of a Allman Brothers, Clapton, kind of longer phrasing. So, to get that real, juiced feeling of that lick being thrown in there and keeping it really groovy, I'm going to kind of speed up the action of my hand, but play less, shorter phrasing. I got a little bit behind of myself there, but that was the idea. So if I do play a longer phrase, it's not just to sound like it's cramming it in there, but it sounds like it kind of, has that velocity, and then it kind of stops again, or it kind of ends with a bend that's. So see how I'm cutting off the sound a lot. That time I bent it and cut it off while at the top of the bend. right? So these are just blues techniques, but in this rock kind of funky R&B, sound, Motown sound, that's where you really get this nice groove format, okay? And so you're listening to like the drum beat and the bass and the rhythm, right? You're not really listening to yourself play, and you're kind of like, commenting on the groove. It's like, boom, bum, bum, bum. Oh yeah, down, down, dink it down, dink down, beep, bop, bow. So I'm playing air guitar now, right? Because I'm letting all the channels of my musical self come out, right? As my wife might say, yeah, you know, just do one channel, do a couple. Don't turn them all on at once, right? So yeah, depends on the situation. Right now it's just me and dogs in here, and they put up with quite a bit. So hopefully that's all just good kind of, suggestive stuff for you, right? So let's just look at a couple of the shapes that we can use here, and I'll do a little demonstration, and then I'll slow it down, and then we'll get you into a routine to practice with this backing track. Let's turn this back on. So major. All right, now I'm going to loosen up a little bit. Those are octaves. Okay, so see, I'm releasing at the top of that bend. Sometimes I hit that 6. That's a nice note in major pen. That's a nice one when it goes to the A minor. I said I wasn't really paying that much attention to chord tones and stuff, but listen to this. Okay, so that's a little bit more demonstration of sort of the melodic ideas that you can use in there. Then, do your thing with how you kind of, do these bursts and put the long rests in and things. And, it's hard the self-talk that we're using when we're doing that. I'll show you in a minute. I want to show you a little bit of minor pentatonic action here, and then we're going to kind of combine them. Then I'll talk briefly about how you can sort of train or nurture this sense of freedom of your phrasing. So major. Okay. Same thing right there. So you can bend this an extra semitone also. You hear that? You get that, but just from this position. Okay, and that's kind of a little mixture of the pentatonics. But just wanted to show you that. That's a nice little place to do that. Right, here how when you bend it the second time, you're not going up as far, right? Now, minor pentatonic, of course. All right, so major. looking back and forth. I'm looking at my hand on the screen and then on my guitar. It really tricks your eye. So, those are just ideas of the phrasings, okay? All right. Nothing new under the sun there. But let me restart this backing track real quick. So there'll be a little edit here. And then I'm going to demonstrate a little bit of the really, stylizing the timing aspect of it, and then get you to the practice loop. Okay, I'm going to leave that on. Now, not bad. That's kind of just me being me, some of that. What I'm going to challenge myself to do this time is not play kind of as continuously, but use the same material. Okay, now that, it gets into a little bit of that kind of money and cigarettes, um, um, 57 Chevy, album of Clapton's, right? I think that's what it was called. It's very underrated in my opinion. Those were like big radio hits that seem like they're just kind of like run of the mill stuff from the 80s. Man, put that thing on and listen to the guitar work. It's just, some of it's just, you know, really, really top notch stuff. And the songs are poppier than usual. So some people have kind of discarded that album, I think, a lot compared to his other stuff. But another great example of this kind of phrasing idea. And, we just have to sort of like coach ourselves into doing it, right? If you feel like starting the lick, just kind of consciously say, no, just wait till the next beat or something. You're like, oh, wait a minute, man. I thought we were supposed to count everything, and everything's supposed to come in right on the and of blah. Not today. Try to really, if you're worrying about all that stuff, it's going to be real hard to be in a playing mode, right? Not a musical mode, a human mode of play, right? So we want to do all that work in our head and apply those concepts, but we also just want to let ourselves go. This should be a fun one and a nice groove, hopefully, to do that with. Let me know how it goes. Appreciate all of you. Take it easy, and I'll see you next week.